I'm Sarah Burke, and this is the Women in Media podcast. Today, I've got another episode that was recorded at the Hollywood Reporter's Canadian Women in Entertainment event. She's no stranger to this podcast. In fact, she was one of my first guests in 2021, and 5 years later, there's a lot to catch up on, from leaving radio to becoming a full-time content creator. She co-hosts the Adam Wilde and Jax podcast, and if you go peruse her social media, you'll find out very quickly that she has become known for her hilarious and very sweet East Coast cold calls, where she literally calls up a stranger on the East Coast to chat about everything from the weather to what they're eating for dinner. Here's our conversation at the Ritz-Carlton in Toronto, 5 years after her first appearance on this podcast.
Hello, sister.
Cheers. I'm so excited to be with you. I've spent a lot of time with you today. Jax Irwin is back. We're at the Women in Entertainment event, Access Media Canada, pairing up with the Hollywood Reporter.
It's wild.
This has been a pretty great event. First year this year?
This is my first year. This is so cool. Like, it's unreal. And also, may I say something?
Yes, floor is yours.
No, nothing against. I mean, I think I'm on the right network to say this, but
Okay.
I felt a lightness, a levity, a brightness, a camaraderie today in the air. And I thought, right, there's no men here.
Except for the men on the front of that magazine.
Except for the men on the front of the Hollywood Reporter this month, yes. But and there's lots of, a few press men, et cetera.
Yeah.
But my God, it's like everybody's having a good time.
We were on a panel earlier
Mhm.
today about the rise of video podcasting. And by the way, please check out the Adam and Jax podcast, or the Jax and Adam. Like, well, whose name is first?
Adam Wilde and Jax.
Okay, Adam Wilde and Jax.
Yeah. I feel like men don't win enough, so I wanted him to have the first one, you know?
Listen to this.
No, it's always been branded that way, and it's diddly-did-did-did. It has a connotation.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Well, the reason that Jax is back is because so much has changed since the last time that we chatted. And thanks for coming on the podcast so early, early days. But this is cool. Like, you are in full content creator world. You are wheeling and dealing brand partnerships, and you are always a pleasure to be around,
Thank you.
even just as a podcast guest. So what's like your, I guess, highlight? And let's also go for a low, since you were last on the Women in Media podcast.
My highlight would have to be, I think, kind of betting on myself. Adam and I left Bell Media in 2023, June of 2023, and I really had to kind of bet on myself and be like, what do I want to do? How do I want to move forward in, digital media? And since then, it's gone really well. And I just incorporated, like, knock on glass.
Yeah.
Incorporated, it's my first incorporated year. So I have my own
Yay.
media company, and doing it that way. I've done a ton of really cool partnerships. There have absolutely been some lows.
Mhm.
I think, going from receiving a paycheck every 2 weeks since you were, 14 years old, to being like, okay, feast or famine, and the scarcity mindset, and betting on yourself. While when it's good, it's terrifying when it's bad, right? So not bad, but
Yeah.
like uncertain. So,
Having a mortgage in the Toronto market, kind of scary if things aren't coming in.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Yeah.
thinking, and playing the dance, doing the dance. And I think maybe this will resonate, being like, is it me? And what am I doing? Like, what's happening here? Am I the problem? Like, am I doing something wrong? Is my product not good? And then just kind of doing the trends
Yeah.
of that. So yeah, it's been a learning curve.
Your relationship with your audience, how do you think that's changed since it was a radio morning show to it being a podcast with Adam?
I think it has deepened, like, tremendously. I think, in a lot of ways, I think always as a broadcaster, I'm desperate to be vulnerable. I'd love to be, but I think I have my guard up, and I'd love to know a lot about other people, but I'm trepidatious sometimes to share about myself. And Adam was always kind of trying to pull that out of me, and being, vulnerable on air, and we could only do it in a certain way.
Yeah, and the
With the
system.
time limits, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I've been able to talk about sobriety, talk about my divorce, like talk about, a lot of things, a little bit further in depth, in a way that I was never able to on air, or probably wouldn't have been able to. So, I also think that, just being able to connect with my audience while not being hired by a large media conglomerate has been very helpful for that, because I don't have to filter
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
It's also interesting because, like, we're both in that space now, and we walk around events like this where, those company people are still around,
Yeah.
right? And you're saying, hi, how are ya? And it's always nice to see. It's like, and maybe you find this too, I've really figured out that it's not those people,
Mhm.
it's the system, right? So I think, any frustration or anger that I had back in that time of my life has sort of like become very peaceful, understanding that it's not about one of those people. It's about like how the system's built.
I think it's, there's a lot of good people in hard positions. And
Yes.
that's, whatever you're going through in the media realm, whether you're shifting or being let go or being, moved. It's really easy to take it personal. And I think it's all just good people in hard positions, mostly. So it's nice to be here and have like no connection to anybody, but also just to like, because a lot of these people that I'm running into that I haven't seen in a couple of years, they're also just people, and it's like
humans.
nice to be like, what's up? And like, we don't have to have this professional kind of, guard up. So it's nice. Yeah. Yeah.
I also think something that came up on our panel, you used the phrase, I felt lucky a couple times when you were talking about your radio days compared to podcasting. And I mean, I may be speaking out of turn, but I feel like your self-worth has changed as well.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that. And like, we're radio sisters, but also I consider you a friend. So thank you for saying that. Or maybe you're just guessing, but it is true. I think I had to get to know myself a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of time alone spent when you're an entrepreneur,
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
or when you've walked away from the job right away, right?
Yeah, and you have to be like, okay, but I'm betting on myself. Like I have like this, my rent is from betting on myself. And I also, in a lot of ways in my life, I was really concerned about how everyone else felt about me, if they were happy or sad or mad or angry, and I had no idea what I thought of myself. And I didn't want to hurt or offend or affect anybody. And then I was like, well, what do I think about myself and my product? And looking at that really in depth has been really helpful. And I like my own company. I like spending time with myself, and I think through sobriety and through media, it's really helped.
Yeah. By the way, there's a great episode of the Jan Arden podcast where Jax talked about the sobriety journey.
My girl, Jan.
You two. Oh my God, you guys were so funny. I was like, Caitlin and I don't even need to be here. You two are just having a moment.
She's wild. I like her.
Oh, we love Jan. But I think podcasting is obviously such a great place to share these like really vulnerable conversations. Now, on the entrepreneurial side of things, Adam started his own company. You were doing your own like social partnerships with social media. And you mentioned you had taken a break, right? From like Adam and Jax as a kind of combo piece. And then you came back together. How did you find approaching entrepreneurship in partnership like that?
Before Adam and I started doing the proper podcast again, I guess it would have been 2 years, but we came back together after a year. But I was doing my own social deals. I wasn't allowed to do them much, and I can say this. Like, I wasn't able to do a lot of influencing when I was with Bell. They owned like the likeness of my name, etc. Like it had
really,
it had to go through them. They could greenlight, and they mostly greenlit, but like they would also want to get, if I'm doing an endorsement, they'd prefer if it's through Bell. So when I left Bell after a few months, I was able to do it all on my own. I really had to like navigate on how, because I wasn't represented and I didn't want to work with an agency at the time. And so I had to figure out the law, the business, like all of these contract sides of these things. And it was really helpful because the small amount of influencing that I was doing before I left Bell, Adam was helping me out with. And he was like, no, you're worth more than that. Like he had already kind of known the business side of things.
Okay.
And he was being like, like you go, like, nope, do this. You're worth, like, kind of just give me like a little big brother moment. And so when I left, I was able to do all my own contracts. I have my own team now of folks that I work with that help me out with contracts, etc. But they kept on getting bigger. And by the time that Adam and I came together, we almost kind of had like the same level of, but I was doing more digital influencing than he was doing, where he's more on the podcasting side. So he was actually asking me how to do these things. So it was like, and now when we're doing, we work with Acast and we have a bit of a team now, but he's always like, Jax, take it. And he was the one who kind of started me, like helping me. So now he's like, no, you got it. So we work really well in that space. I'm rambling because it's been a long day, but
no, it's okay.
He was kind of gave me my wings, and now he trusts me to fly.
Yeah, Adam's been really kind to me too, like with podcast questions and stuff. When I was first starting my network, he had a couple little chats with me. So it's always nice when people are willing to. They're not in it for themselves. They're looking to make sure that everybody feels.
You've always been that way as well. There's a lot of transparency with you, and like talking about numbers and talking about, I don't know, we're also like proud to ask, like, okay, how do I do this? Or what do I do with this? And you've always had like been like, okay, let's talk, let's shoot the shit. Or I'm at this event because of you, for example. Like you were like, I was in a room or you were in a room that I was not, and you put my name up for something. So like, thank you. So
well, you know, when I was approached about this panel for video podcasting, like, sure, I am recording video for podcasting, but you want to talk about who's doing video podcasting well, my friend, it is you. Budget, and we did talk about this in our panel today. Like, you have to make video work for you. Like, for example, with the Jan Arden podcast, is like we're just recording online because that's how we keep up with the scheduling and working with someone like Jan who has a full schedule and a full team and all that. And you know, for women in media, right? Like, I keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And funny enough, my camera setup right now. Ask me how many questions I've asked Jax about what cameras to buy over the years, and
how many times have I asked questions from producer Steph, though? It's like, it's just a channel of women asking questions to each other. The women in media, that we all just are out here just asking each other questions.
Yeah. So I'm always happy to raise someone's name. Like, I thought you needed to be on that panel for us to have a proper discussion.
Thank you.
So yeah. And it was also a cool moment too, because all of you had been on my podcast before, and it's like we're in a new era of all of it. And, you know, just this morning, on the day of recording, it's May 28th, Josie Dye just got announced to be on the morning show with Nat Hunter, 2 women on Chum FM's morning show, taking over for Marilyn Dennis. And like, that's a new concept in Market One in Toronto. So there's lots of cool things happening right now.
An archaic thing, and they're going to kill it. Like, it's going to be great. And we've seen women do you know, I think afternoon shows together in a couple of different markets. But like for a morning show, especially on Chum, a woman demo with a woman-led morning show.
Wow.
Whoa. Yeah. So
what a novel idea.
I love to see it. I love to see it. Yeah.
I was also going to ask you a little bit about like this idea of being on camera. Like, they started putting cameras in the Bell Studios. Was that when you were still there?
So no, it was funny. I helped design the studio for a show that I wasn't going to be on, which, you know, they like the show that's on there now is tremendous, and they do some really good digital work, and especially, I think Chris Kelly's still cutting it all. It looks so good. But we were pushing and pushing and pushing because, you know, and I mentioned this during the panel earlier, people aren't consuming media the same way that they used to. And we were a morning show that essentially lost their morning audience for 3 or 4 of the 5 years that we were on air, because nobody was driving to work.
Yeah.
So we were like, we want to have cameras on us, and we wanted to do essentially like it's BBC. Like that's it. UK radio is the blueprint for it, right? Like they're streaming everything. They want to be as accessible as possible to everyone as possible, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so we had our own cameras. We all brought our own cameras in. And
bring your camera to work, Dave.
And then Jesse would cut it all. Producer Jesse, God bless him.
Bring your own camera, BYOC.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it was definitely guerrilla radio for sure.
Do you feel more comfortable on camera now because of the other stuff that we just talked about, like how you feel about yourself and confidence now?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel a lot more confident. I still get weird about it sometimes, but I also think that I'm at home too, right? So I get to be home. But I think that in general, my disposition has become a lot more relaxed, hopefully.
Do you think that there are conversations that you're not having yet on the show with Adam that you want to like venture into?
Ladies got to have her secrets. I think, and I forget who said it, but we had a consultant one time that said, like, you can't talk about things that you haven't fully processed yet. And I think
smart, actually, though.
Yeah, because I think that you want to always be open and transparent with your audience. But if you haven't fully processed yet, you know, like, I want to live through it before I share it, right? So I think that there's some stuff that's going on in my last few years that I would love to be raw and vulnerable about. And, you know, I have some folks ask me and stuff, and I can't wait to share it with everyone
when it's the right time.
Once I kind of like processed it, and once I'm like, okay, like, let's dive into it. Because I think, you know, when you have an audience, not that the audience is owed everything, but I want to come with a level of transparency. And if I'm coming with 50%, I don't want to come at all yet.
Yeah. What's been the coolest partnership, like the most aligned for you personally, that you've worked on over the last few years? Because like money does interesting things to people, but I never feel like you're serving me an ad. Everything you do feels like very natural.
Thank you. I've had a lot of creator-led content, like for campaigns, like when you're bringing the idea to the brands, that's going to be the future. That's what you're going to see, because I'm scripting out all these like new concepts and ideas, and then you're bringing your own production house. So I would say that Paramount's probably been the most aligned, because they'll let me do weird stuff.
Like what?
Like I've had this kind of ongoing narrative with Paramount over the past 3 years that I like really want to be a cowboy, and they've made like they've let me make some really rogue
Jax
stuff
is wearing cowboy boots by
right now.
By the way, go on YouTube.
Around there, because they have the all of the Yellowstone franchise. So I've done a few campaigns that feel really, really aligned, but they'll also just let me write them and like conceptualize them from the ground up. And
that's cool. You get to be creative.
Yeah, for Paramount to like be like, I want to turn into a cowboy. I'm going to drive a horse, and I'm going to learn After Effects so I can 3D myself into what's his name? Kevin.
It's Kevin Costner's character.
Yeah. So Kevin Costner. So like,
hey Siri,
I'm becoming him in it. Yeah, and they're like, yeah, have at her, awesome, and like they paid me well to do it. Yeah, so it's been nice. Yeah, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Is there a missing piece in Canadian media right now that you're like, why is no one over here doing this?
I don't know why the morning radio shows aren't more a part of the. You see it a bit in like European stations. Like I guess when CP24, for example, was downtown Toronto, why isn't the morning show also like feeding? You're not having feeding like cameras going in and out, because you have a live morning show the entire time.
Who's maybe talking about like, that crazy shit Michael Bublé said last night or whatever.
It didn't make sense that I was like, you're actually like, you have free content here, so it should be self-serving each other. Yeah. But yeah, I think there's a gap there. I don't know.
What's on the bucket list that you haven't accomplished yet in what you're doing right now that you're working towards? Would you do like film or television?
I'd love to do film or television. So I'd like to, I want to get into the episodic world, and I want to do something based, I want to get more into the writing side of things. And I guess like bring the East Coast phone calls into something that is more long form, to put it that way. And there's some things in the works that I'm really excited about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
I could totally see you being on a television show.
I'd love to host something. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to do something. I'm also, and I won't say much on this, but there may be a little bit like a cook style book coming.
East Coast cooking, I could see it.
Yeah, like what's for supper kind of vibe. So yeah,
hey,
bucket list. There we go. Knock on wood.
Okay, so there is a question that has been left for you. I stole this from another podcast. You could probably figure that out.
Hell yeah! All right, let's go.
But whatever, borrowing where good ideas make sense. So this was left for you by the previous guest. So read that out loud and you can answer.
What is something that you learned from your hometown that applies to your work today?
And that's from Liz Duff.
I love Liz. Liz is a hard worker. Liz is something special, man. Liz is something special. I think that there's something beautiful about Nova Scotia, that you don't take things super seriously. And I think that the overall theme of Nova Scotia that I love is that it's about connection, not perfection. And not getting it perfect.
Name of episode, Connection, Not Perfection.
Yeah. I think it's about connecting and making sure that like you're here, you're present, you're connecting with people rather than making sure it's perfect. And I think that applies in my work. And I have to remember that sometimes, because I can get a little like perfectionist about it. And it's like, what matters here? Not that.
Your video is perfection though. Just to say it on the record.
Thank you.
And you know how this podcast ends, nominating someone else to come on the pod. I'm going to also let you leave a question for the next person. Shout out, someone in the media space who maybe hasn't been on the podcast yet.
Have you had Ruby Carr on?
I have not had
Get Ruby Carr on here.
Okay.
Ruby Carr, speaking in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Can I nominate her?
Yes. Yeah. And you can leave the question, and you can take a moment here. The camera is going to watch you write your question. Also, just a joy to spend time with Jax.
I love you.
God. I love you right back.
You're so good.
I also should say, Jax is amazing for even coming on this podcast today and coming to this event today, because Jax unfortunately lost a pal last night, and I admire that you didn't want to let anyone down and you're still here.
My friend Justin, who I unfortunately lost, my God, like bright light and a diva through and through, and a honey bunny. And he was so, his personality was gigantic. And I think that he'd be like, bitch, go, like, get going. So
you did it for Justin today?
Well, I thought, he was somebody that really believed in like living life largely and beautifully and like loudly. And I was like, no. Like, go connect.
Yeah.
Go connect. Like,
Connection, not perfection.
That's right.
And at some point, I got to like zoom in on the detail on these cowboy boots.
Okay. This is kind of inappropriate, but
I would expect nothing less.
do I ask it right here?
Yeah, sure.
Ruby, do you still remember anything from radio school? And the second question, did you smoke weed during college? XO Jax. Love you, Ruby. Sorry. Ruby was one of the best badass people in college, so yeah.
Thank you so much.
I love you so much.
Oh. Find out more about Jax and her podcast and all of the content that she creates in the show notes. And stay tuned for a conversation with Ruby Carr, among others, this summer. As always, thank you for listening.